Hey guys, what's up? WarPigmtg here, and this is a kind of deck tech of a kick-ass Boros aggro deck that I built out of Limited in a Theros draft. So, even if you don't care about Theros, even if you don't care about Limited, not a lot of people play it, not a lot of people like to draft, you should still see this video because it's basically just a test of this new camera that I got and the fact that I will start making videos with this new camera now. It is finals week though, so this week might be a little bit scarce on the videos. With that said, I will describe this crazy, ridiculous deck that was undefeated. So basically here is our one-drop base. We've got Hopeful Eidolon and a Crowan Crusader, both very strong picks. Hopeful Eidolon, the lifelink is ridiculous, and his Bestow I will get to later. And a Crowan Crusader, also pretty cute, a 1/1 for 1. You can't really complain with that in a limited format, especially when you throw him down turn 1 and the enemy really has not a lot of responses until like turn 4 or 3. So always very strong picks. However, you don't really want to bog yourself down with one-drop picks. Moving on, here is kind of the more beefy part of the deck. It's our 2-drops. Satire Rambler, very strong, a 2/1 trample for 2, so he'll always usually get in damage, especially when you get him down early. Traveler Philosopher is a bear, it's a 2/2 for 2, pretty good. Lightning Strike, always really strong. Arena Athlete. Deathbell Raider, this guy right here, very strong, it's a 2/3 for 2. The reason I picked him is because his stats are pretty good. A 2/3 for 2 is really good. We're not going to be able to pay his regenerate cost with the white mana. However, he attacks each turn if able, so that's kind of a drawback. But the fact that he's a common means you can get lots of him. And even though he will be trading in the late game, we don't really need him for that. We won't be really surviving towards the late game. So this is why you grab the Deathbell Raider, because he's basically a better bear. Moving on. Ordeal of Heloid, you always want to get the Ordeal, as they're really cheap, really strong enchantments, and I realized that there isn't a lot of removal in Theros Limited, so it's a horrible limited format, but it's still hilarious to play because there are Minotaurs and big guys with horns everywhere, and there isn't a lot of removal, so the big creatures can't really be dealt with. And by throwing Ordeals onto creatures, it makes it that much harder because they become really strong, really fat, really quickly, and you can't really trade with them. So that's why I picked up Ordeal of Heloid. I would have gotten the red Ordeal if that wheeled to me. Leonin Snarecaster is ridiculous. It's a 2/1 for 2. You can't really complain. And with these aggressive decks, getting a tap ability off an enter the battlefield ability on this guy on an enemy creature is very good. Additionally, Lightning Strike, you can't complain. The damage, 3 damage, always good. The reason I got Cavalry Pegasus is because sometimes there are flying creatures and flying decks, and the fact is that with these aggro decks you don't really have a lot of room to pick up removal. You can pick up as many Lightning Strikes as you want because that's always great. But aside from that, there isn't a lot of cheap removal, so Cavalry Pegasus lets us not only fly over with Arena Athlete and a Crowan Crusader, but also, you know, blocks any flying creature. At least for 1 turn it does. But here is kind of the main footmen of my army, the Minotaur Skull Cleaver. You want to grab as many Minotaur Skull Cleavers as you can. This card is absolutely ridiculous in Limited. It's a 2/2 haste for 3, which is already good for Limited. 2 damage off the bat on turn 3, very strong. But his enter the battlefield ability is what makes him really shine. He gets +2/+0 until end of turn when he hits the field. So he becomes a 4/2 haste on turn 3. Usually the decks are so slow that they can't even deal with anything on turn 3 either. So he either kills one of their creatures or deals 4 to the face. So that's why I picked up 3 of these guys, and they're common. So you're always gonna get this fucker in your pack. So you know, always get him. Additionally, Dauntless Onslaught, as I said, not a lot of removal in this set, so very good combat trick to deal with enemy creatures. Also a great finisher. I killed someone with it right off the bat as a finisher because they blocked one creature, and then I pump my 2 other creatures. Laguna Band Elder, when he enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. So basically the gaining life didn't really become relevant at all, but he's a 2/3 for 3, so you can't complain. Also, we have these bestow creatures, and these guys are ridiculous. So you can see our deck curves out at 5 with a single Rage of Perforos, and basically if a card has Perforos on it, the word Perforos, always draft it because it's going to be really strong. Here are our 4 drops. We have Heloid, God of the Sun, a piece of garbage, especially in this deck. There isn't a lot of white at all. The reason I put him in here is just for shits and giggles, because it's God. He really didn't become effective. I wanted to get something out of his enchantment ability by, making that our late game, but throughout playing the deck, I realized that our late game was the bestow abilities on these creatures, because you pump the little guys with the bestow fatties, and then there isn't any reliable removal in this set. So on top of that, if they somehow manage to kill your guy, you get more guys off of it, off of the enchantments. So here we have Spearpoint Oread, Observant Alseid, all of these random stupid names that usually happens when new sets come out. And we do have Rage of Perforos, a really, really strong card. You want to pick this card up a lot, especially since it's a common. This should be your most reliable removal, but I didn't really realize that, because this was the first time I drafted Theros, so I grabbed one of those. Also, Portent of Betrayal, really strong, because, there's so many enchantments and gods in this set, especially in Limited, so you are able to just gain control of an enemy creature that they put all their eggs in one basket, and I was able to get like a 12/12 on my team for 1 turn and demolish an enemy with his own 12/12. So yeah, there's basically the deck. You guys might have not cared about the analysis, but oh well. These are 24 cards. Usually people like to play 18 lands, 17 lands. I played 16 lands, and that was perfectly fine, although I was still getting mana flooded, so maybe 15 is the right number for this. I was running 8 plains, 8 mountains. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.